Coffee Pot Conversations.
Hello and welcome to An Englishman in Paris, Coffee Pot Conversations. Hello and welcome to Coffee Pot Conversations, hosted by An Englishman in Paris. This is episode 1.10, The Best Bits. The Best Bits. Yeah, still struggling to find another jingle. But anyway, I made it through. Season finale. Or as I say in France, the season finale. Because my French still isn't all that good. So, what have we got on today's episode? Well, we have several parts that, to be honest, I've decided I'm going to call the best bits. I do have some of the guests telling me their best bits, some listeners telling me their best bits, but generally it's just me telling you my best bits. But before we start all that, you know what's coming next. And I do believe this is a new jingle. Okay, it isn't, but I'm going to really work on it and maybe have this as a jingle. What's been happening in Paris this week? Or maybe 2 weeks? Or maybe it's 3, because it depends when I've released it. Yeah, I've got a feeling that's not going to work. What's been happening in the news today? And actually, that's not going to work too good either. What's been happening in Paris since last time we spoke? No, it's just not working. But anyway, here's the news. First up, we have the fact that you can now tap to ride with Navigo card in your Apple Wallet, which is great, except it took me all that time to get a photo Navigo. But that's not a problem. Navigo cards in the Apple Wallet allow for an easy and convenient commuting experience just in time for the Olympics. So users can easily select the Navigo card from the Apple Wallet and double-click the side button, or if they have Express Mode enabled, which I do for one of my bank cards, a user can simply hold their iPhone or Apple Watch near a reader to ride transit in Paris without having to unlock or wake up their device. And the way you do that is you will need to purchase the ticket via the Ile-de-France Mobilité website, iOS app, sorry, not the website, or directly from Apple Wallet. So there we go. And apparently real-time transit information in Apple Maps is going to be available in Paris as well to help users navigate their travels throughout the city. Well done, Apple. Let's bring it to the London Oyster, maybe. And so on to sport. Diego Maradona's Golden Ball trophy from the 1986 World Cup is going to be going on auction on the 6th of June in Paris. Yep, Maradona died in 2020 at the age of 60, but he was awarded the trophy for his scintillating play at the tournament, where he captained Argentina in its 3-2 win over West Germany in the final in Mexico City. However, that was the same World Cup tournament when he scored the Hand of God goal against England in the quarter-finals. The auction house, Agut, said it expects the trophy to fetch millions due to its uniqueness. It was given to Maradona at a ceremony at the Lido Cabaret on the Champs-Élysées back in 1986, subsequently disappearing, giving rise to rumours of various types. Hang on, did I just mention the Lido? Certainly did. You can hear more about that in episode 1.2. And if you're interested in taking part in the auction, you need a deposit of €150,000 to hold your place. And talking of auctions, there's also Elvis's house Graceland going up, and the original dance floor from the 1977 film Saturday Night Fever. And I'm going to be selling some broken hangers on eBay. French police were hunting for armed robbers on Saturday after the exclusive Harry Winston boutique was targeted. A store worker at the Jeweller to the Stars picked up the phone and said the jeweller was robbed Saturday, but hung up without giving details or his name. Winston didn't immediately reply to emailed questions from the Associated Press, and neither the police nor the prosecutor's office said whether the robbers made off with jewels, and if so, how much they were worth. They also couldn't confirm whether the jeweller himself was the target. The dazzling by-appointment-only store is located on Avenue Montaigne, which is the hypotenuse street between the Champs-Élysées and Point d'Alma, starting at Franklin D. Roosevelt Metro and ending at Alma Marceau Metro. The store was robbed previously back in 2008, in which 3 cross-dressing gunmen stole about $92 million in loot. However, 8 people were convicted in 2015 in connection to this. And what kind of season would this be if we didn't mention about Parisian strikes? The rail workers, they strike over the Olympics bonuses with games just 2 months away. Drivers and ticket inspectors on the Paris commuter trains launched a one-day strike to pressure management over bonuses for the Olympics this July and August, leading to criticism of union tactics. And Sophie Collier told AFP that she arrived in central Paris on Tuesday morning after an uncomfortable journey on a packed train. She said, "I left 2 hours earlier than normal to make sure I was on time." They're not the only ones. The police, air traffic controllers, Paris rubbish collectors, central government employees, metro drivers and firefighters have all made pay demands. The government are under pressure to prevent disruption spoiling the event. OK, they've not been on strike, so that's something. But workers at the National Mint, the ones that are producing the medals, have been on strike. Management, however, they do insist that production remains on track. Yeah, I don't know if that was an intentional pun. I'm just reading off of the France 24 website. It's intolerable that a few privileged people are able to take France hostage very, very regularly, senior Republican Senator Bruno Retailleau told Sur Radio, echoing criticism from many right-wing and far-right lawmakers over the walkout. The right to strike is constitutional, he added, but so is the right to have minimum public services. OK, you've waited long enough. Now the part you've been waiting for, the best bits of the season.
Coffee pot conversations.
Right, so let's just... This is where we really should have water preparations and stuff.
Well, I have wine.
That's all right then. Okay, right, so are you ready? You comfortable?
Yeah.
Was that me moving on the mic?
Yeah. It wasn't me. I haven't moved.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Shabba.
So... Okay, we have to be serious now.
And that little piece of unheard footage is from episode 1.8 avec Claudine. It was a time when I had Nev with me when we interviewed Claudine Hemingway. And I thought, why not have her as the co-host for that particular episode? And to be honest, it worked exceptionally well. I did have one comment come back saying it sounded like a professional podcast. I like that. Even in the early days, things, I've just run with them, such as I'm doing now. I don't plan. I have a rough, vague idea of what I want. And because I always say the show's organic, I just take it where I want to go. I prefer these non-scripted sections, which may come straight from the mic, straight to you. Or I may struggle and have to re-record them 50, 60, 70,000 times. The parts you haven't heard, I've deleted off. I tend to use expletives. However, you can hear from this very first recording, 1.1, on Eating in Paris with Nev, right at the beginning, how planned and thorough I was for the very, very first interview.
Why do I feel like I'm being interviewed?
No, technically you are. So, what do you want to talk about in this one?
I thought you planned it already.
I don't plan, you should know that. Running in a chronological order, after having interviewed Nev back in July, I then took it upon myself to interview Rory. And you can still hear at this stage, I hadn't quite settled on a name for the podcast. Hello and welcome to Coffee Pot Conversations. I'm here with my eldest Rory.
Hello, I'm Rory.
There we go. And we're sitting in a coffee shop in rainy August. So, I brought Rory in today because he was giving his brother grief and aggravation. I thought now's a good time to have your debut interview for my podcast. So thank you, Rory, for turning up. Not that you had much choice. And then straight after that episode, 10, 20 minutes later, we carried on. I've mentioned this in, I believe it was in episode 1.7, Podcast Productions, where literally finished one. Rory said, "Is there anything stopping us from doing the second one?" I said, "No, let's do it." And that's why there is still this hesitancy in the title of the show. Hello, my name's Paul and I'm your host of An Englishman in Paris presents Coffee Pot Conversations. I'm here today with my eldest son, Rory.
Hello.
Hello. The show was running quite smoothly. I had 3 interviews that I could utilise, and I'd done my monologue episodes already. You're going to hear some of those later on in season 2, and that was great. And then in August, I was sitting in a coffee shop in Greenwich, and I suddenly thought, I want some high-brow, high-calibre people to interview, to have a coffee pot conversation with. So I Instagram messaged, I emailed a few, and I asked them, would you be willing to have a coffee pot conversation with me in November when I'm coming to Paris? And, well, you'll hear some responses. But no, you won't hear responses. You will hear, well, I'll let you hear them. You've already heard them if you come this far. Here we are, my introductions to those episodes. So I don't know how to begin these things. We'll start off with introductions.
Okay.
I'm Paul, Englishman in Paris.
Nice to meet you, Paul.
Same here, Coffee Pot Conversations. And you are?
Christian.
Bonjour,
Christian. With the accent.
So when I say French words, do you want me to try a French accent, or can I just say them?
Try French accent, it can be
okay.
funny.
I can do the R, that's about as good as I get. The bonjour, it took me about 40 years to discover the ch at the end of bonjour.
It's not easy.
And no one tells you at school. And you are, young lady?
My name is Anastasia and I'm interning for Christian at French Abroad here in Paris.
So who are you and who are you?
Well, thank you very much for having me on your show, Paul. It's a delight to meet you in person after our corresponding. So, bienvenue à Paris.
Merci.
Welcome to Paris. So my name is Lily Heisey, and I'm originally from Canada, but I've been living in Paris for over 20 years now. I came to Paris originally for my studies and fell in love with the city, and I've been living here ever since.
Hello, and who are you?
Are we recording?
You certainly are.
Oh my gosh, already. Okay. Hi, bonjour. Hi, Paul. I'm April from April in Paris Tours. Yes. The president, as they like to call me here in France. I really like that title, actually. Yeah. So I organize tours here in Paris, beautiful Paris. I'm from Canada.
So I'm no good with introductions,
Okay.
and I'm no good with wrapping up.
Okay.
But I am learning about cutting and splicing.
Okay.
So fingers crossed. So before we do start, is there anything you don't want me to ask or topics you don't want me to cover?
No.
That's easy.
Not that I could think of.
So, President Macron.
Yeah. I think he's hot.
I think we all think that.
I have zero problem with her. I had to actually try. Because I'd always put all the pictures of him, like especially in the summer when he's like shirtless and like funny, on my Instagram stories, and then all my French friends were like, "Honey, you can't do that." So then a couple of my French girlfriends, we just send up the look with each other.
And that was the November interviews, which actually sounds like a Netflix series. The November interviews, starring Paul, an Englishman in Paris. In episode 1.3, we had French Abroad. Episode 1.4, Lily Heisey. That was a special 1.2.5, April in Paris. And episode 1.8, Claudine Hemingway. Next, we had an interview just a few weeks ago with Jasper. Who are you?
Jasper.
And Jasper, what are you doing here? That was my evil dad laugh. So the next section sort of shows you how my process works, and I have a lot of these that are still behind the scenes. I haven't decided what to do with them. I've got other bits tucked away called the notebook questions. Again, that's for later on in life. But for now, just listen to how I had a little moment with Jasper before the actual interview.
Is this part of the conversation?
Yes and no. What this part does, it relaxes you. It's used to talking normally. Were you not relaxed?
Now you've just said it.
This won't be in the interview part. This is part of the process, though. So I get you in. I talk nicely, nice and chilled.
So you're not going to talk nicely to me.
Say again?
So you're not going to talk nicely to me.
Of course I can talk
I
nicely to
said
you.
I'll talk nicely to you.
Yeah, we talk nice. Yeah, just regular
It'll be like
conversation.
this. You boy, answer the question now or else. You don't get any Xbox when you get home.
Yeah, that's really not me. But that's the kind of stuff that we do.
That you do. Did you just say?
Yeah, I talk to people. I get my levels queued up. So all the podcasts that you've heard me do, I've got bits at the beginning that nobody hears. Things like whilst I'm setting up, as people pass the scream and shout, move chairs in to make more noise. We were actually eating bits of cake and drinking coffee during that little moment. So Yeah, that was a piece that I had edited out. And I know right at the very, very beginning, not only in episode 1.7 podcast productions, but prior to that, I was just going to use my phone and go straight through. Well, technology has changed and I like my own progression. It's always my own personal one-upmanship. So when I went to interview Christian and Anastasia for French Abroad, episode 1.3, there was this little whoopsie that took place. And yeah, I had to facilitate an audio technique, which allowed me to then have, the publishing of the episode. Before you listen to that section again, I just want to say that French Abroad have, again, since recording and then readjusting the show notes, they've moved to 10 Rue Béranger in the 3rd arrondissement, which is around about the Marais area. So that's 10 Rue Béranger, Beranger. I dare say, for those of you listening in the future that haven't heard this yet, which is back in May 2024, check out the website, FrenchAbroadParis.com. Or even better, go onto Instagram, FrenchAbroad.Paris, find out where they're located and do all the bits. I still wear the hoodie. It's absolutely gorgeous, washes up really well. And also on the drier days, I wear Nev's baseball cap. Not actually Nev's baseball cap. Nev arranged with Christian to have a personalised baseball cap made for me for my Christmas present. So it is my baseball cap, but Nev arranged it. Anyway, thank you for that, Nev. And here is the clip.
With this collection, and I chose to work with organic cotton, which is a cotton that use 90% less water than a classic cotton. So all my fabric are made with organic cotton. And now with Anastasia, we're gonna go in Portugal to make upcycling clothes, to go even forward with reducing the pollution with our colors.
Yeah, and as a fashion student, fashion design student, sorry, I wanted to say about upcycling, why it is very important for Christian and I.
So thank you, Anastasia, for making me have to learn audio editing. I'm a podcaster, as we know, and I do lots of research, and I have so much going on in my mind and my brain. Sometimes I don't necessarily get flustered, but I just lose track of information. As Lily Heisey, episode 1.4, Romancing in Paris, points out nicely without pointing it out, except I point it out.
Personally speaking, you don't want to wait in line. There are so many good places that one place can't be that much better than everywhere else. Really. There are a few exceptions maybe, but that's something that's quite different. But there's so many great quality places in Paris that there's always somewhere else to go where you don't have to wait in line.
I mean, I've never had it, never been, but Angelique's for the hot chocolate. And I see the queues.
Yeah. And it didn't eat. So here's a little trick. If you do want to try Angelina without waiting in line. I called it
Angelique, didn't I? Angelina.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. No worries.
No defamation court cases.
No, it's fine. But if you careful.
Yeah.
If you there are other branches in Paris. Of course, the historic one on Rue de Rivoli is beautiful, but it's the same quality, the same product at the others. So there is one in the Luxembourg Gardens, but not in the garden side next to the museum.
So yes, I am a podcaster, and the podcast hosted by An Englishman in Paris is called Coffee Pot Conversations. It's to do with conversations that take place in a cafe, the whole cafe culture of Paris, which, as we all know, I have an affinity with Paris, and this whole cafe culture surrounded by coffees. And, well, let's just listen to this next clip with April in Paris.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you like the coffee in France? Tell me what you think. Be honest.
Well, being honest, I'm a tea drinker. I can talk about tea, but no, coffee. I'm not a great coffee drinker. I don't like coffees. I have latte because it's heavier with the milk. Takes away a little bit of the bitterness.
Okay.
When I'm being creative and productive, I'll always have a coffee.
Okay.
I don't know what it is with the caffeine. It sort of calms the brain and opens up.
Okay.
It's almost like absinthe, but without the alcohol.
Yeah, do you see green fairies when you drink it?
I see green fairies all the time. I I am struggling at times with the technology. So as time has moved on, I've bought new bits and added and additioned and taken away and readjusted and relocated and all the rest of the blah blahs. And with episode 1.8, I do apologise. There were some sound issues. It was the first time that I'd used two microphones. I'm not too sure whether it was interface to cables, the location of the microphones, whether I was turning around at the wrong time talking to Nev. That I don't know. And again, apologies. It's a learning curve. Hopefully that won't take place again. If it does, I can only apologise in advance. When we were recording that, we listened back and there were big chunks that it was unlistenable, if that makes sense. So we started again and you can hear the remnants. However, there were big bits that were usable and I couldn't really filter it into the episode. Except this one I've kept and I'm now going to use it because it was nice just chatting with Nev and having us both relaxed. We talk all the time, but having this almost professional aspect, for me, it was one of the best unheard bits of the season. I have missed Paris.
Yeah, it's been a while for us, really, because we missed it in April. We normally go in April, don't we, because you are always running and you are doing the marathon, but this time you didn't. But I kind of hope that even though you weren't doing the marathon, we might have gone for a 5-day holiday again. But we had way too much going on.
Too much rugby with the boys.
Yeah.
To-ing and fro-in.
So that didn't happen. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Where we normally have that mini break, it's quite nice and we haven't. So we're not going until July, isn't it now?
Yeah,
so.
we normally do 5 days in April and we're doing 6 days in July now instead.
Exactly.
It's quite amazing.
But it'd be really nice though in July. We'll have the boys and it would be almost like we're living there a little bit, which would be quite nice.
Absolutely.
And you know what I'm looking forward to, because that's the only thing I ever look forward to. The food,
okay,
obviously.
just for clarification.
Just for clarification, it is food. Always the food.
Not the €6 wine from Monoprix. No.
Oh, no, the food.
But if Monoprix are listening, we don't do sponsorships, but we do like the €6 wine.
Oh, I really do.
Red, incidentally.
Yeah, I'm a red
I don't
drinker.
drink wine.
No, but I'll drink for you, don't worry.
I just drink their mint syrup de menthe.
Yeah.
And a grenadine for Jasper. With lemonade when we get home.
Oh, that's
Because
nice.
it's so much cheaper doing it at home than it is over there.
Oh.
I should go to a cafe and ask for Diablo Monte is about €7.
Is it?
Yeah, you get like $2.50 for the syrup de menthe, a shot, and it's like €5 for a bottle of lemonade. Just shoot me the gun, the Sprite, bosh from the bar. These next two clips are from when things don't go to plan. The first one, it was a call to action. I simply wanted you to email me at coffeepot@anenglishmaninparis.blog. The second one, I couldn't decide whether to keep a cough in or take it out. Eventually I took it out, but now I've put it back in. But there are obviously other platforms available. Or send me an email directly. Or send me an email directly. Or send me an email directly, coffeepot@anenglishmaninparis.blog. I've actually booked the day off of work just to make sure it all goes swimmingly well. Excuse me, that needs to be edited out. Although I may keep it in. No, I will edit it out. And yes, I've now lost my train of thought because I did a quick editing, which I'm actually now not going to edit. So you know what's taking place, or I will edit. I'll probably edit this whole section out anyway and keep it as like a blooper for behind the scenes. Long-term listener and friend of the show, Frankie, she came back from holiday and I asked her what her best bit is, or is what her best bit is. I said, Frankie, what's your best bit? And her response was, how's the new job going? But then she also said, I liked when you and Nev were chatting about French food. It made my tummy rumble and make me want to visit the city. Just for the food. Laughing emoji. Now, as we know, I did used to work with Frankie, and I do want to say a special thanks. I don't know how many mentions you're going to get for next season, but for now, and I'm going to mention it afterwards as well, Frankie's_cakes and bakes on Instagram. Check it out. She cakes and bakes, and she's called Frankie. And some lovely, lovely visuals of cakes, as well as actual cakes that are nice and tasty. We had some cupcakes made for Jasper's birthday back in February. So thank you, Frankie. A pleasure to work with you and an honour to have you as, I suppose, the first official friend of the show. Welcome aboard. So, Nev, talking to you via the WhatsApp video calling and connecting to the Vocaster via Bluetooth, What's your best bit or best bits of Season 1 Coffee Pot Conversations hosted by An Englishman in Paris?
Oh, I have several, I think. I really enjoyed doing On Eating with Nev. I know that was with myself, only because it was quite good fun and there's me going on and on about food. And there was a particular part where we were talking about going to La Plume and I couldn't remember where it was. And the only way I remembered where it was is because I had a burrata. And then when I asked what you had a croque monsieur. And it was really quite funny. The contrast between the two dishes really to make me laugh.
Le Plume.
The plume. Oh, yes.
That was beautiful.
Oh, that was lovely.
Nothing wrong with it at all.
No.
It had a little bit of juice to it.
But even in a very subtle zhuzh.
Absolutely. As subtle as the pizza place.
Yeah.
It was
It
nice.
was really pretty. It was really nice. What did I have in the plume again? Oh, I had that burrata. Oh, that was lovely.
Yeah.
Had the burrata with the... I remember now. I could eat that now.
And
that was really good.
probably had a croque madame.
I also really enjoyed doing the interview avec Claudine, actually, and just meeting her was brilliant, and being part of that whole interview was really good fun, and she was fabulous to talk to and a really interesting lady, and that's probably the highlight for me, to be able to do that. I thought that was really good. And then doing the whole podcast with you was a whole load of fun as well.
Julia Child, I mean, a lot of them were French women, and some of them, I'd get so attached to, like Rose Valland, who's like my end-all, be-all, greatest woman in French history that saved the art that was stolen.
I remember listening to that one. I commented on one of your pieces.
Yeah. I love her. I will never stop talking about her. Camille Claudel, Johann Van Gogh, who saved, we wouldn't know who Vincent is if it wasn't for her. And some of them, it's like, I get this like attachment to them, like this fierce attachment of like, I'll fight you over it. Like, same thing I will about Coco Chanel. If anybody says anything good about her, I'll literally go to the mat and beat it out of you that she's a good person, that she's the worst.
I remember listening to that one as well. It's like, I want to go to the check. No, you don't.
Yeah. But it's, it's hard. There's so many of them. Somebody wanted me to give a list of like my 5 people in French history I'd want to have a dinner party, and I was like, I don't think I could get it to just 5. It'd be too hard.
So, if you held a dinner party with fucking other...
Rose Valland.
Listening to the boys was probably my other highlights. Both of them are really good fun to listen to and really funny. Both see Paris in very different ways. One thinks it's marvellous, the other one thinks it's okay. One likes the sights, the other one likes the food. That was really good fun. And then lastly, I would say the last episode when you were talking about the vandalism of the paintings, when you referred to the vulva and not a Volvo, which was very funny.
In the world of art, something strange caught my eye, and it says 2 women charged in France over graffiti on the origin of the world painting. Upsetting. People are still protesting, and they have the right to protest. The subheading says 2 women were charged in France over the spraying of the words Me Too on 5 artworks, including a famous 19th century painting of a woman's vulva. That's the lady part as opposed to, a car. So, Rory, who I have with me, what's your best bit?
My best bit would have to be this bit right here.
I'm doing something that I kind of said that I'd never do, and that's go on my phone during a podcast interview. But I know we've got kids screaming behind. We all know how I feel about screaming kids. But if I have a quick look...
Definitely bootable at times, aren't they? I'm not advising that.
I'm glad, because Roy just saw me shoot a glance at him.
It's one of them glasses like that.
It's like, yes, be careful, son.
And this, my friends, is my best bit. I really want some meat.
And that's what she said.
Coffee Pot Conversations.
I would like to say a huge thank you to all my guests. That is French Abroad, Lily Heisey, April in Paris, Claudine Hemingway, Nev, Rory and Jasper. I'd also like to say thank you to Frankie of Frankie's Cakes and Bakes. That's Frankie's _cakes and bakes. She's on Instagram. I'd also like to say thank you to Ebru for checking out my Instagram account and saying how lovely it was that I included Nev and my family on that side of things. Everyone, thank you for listening. That's just everyone who listens. So whether you listened as it was released, you listened a few weeks later, or this is many months or years down the road, and you started from the beginning, you've made it to 1.10 the best bits, thank you for getting here. Even if you just hit 1.10 the best bits, just find out what my best bits were. Thank you for listening. Call to action, I want you to email me, coffeepot@anenglishmaninparis.blog. Find me on Instagram, An Englishman in Paris blog. Check out my blog, anenglishmaninparis.blog. Find a way to communicate with me. Let me know what you think. I'm open to suggestions, comments, criticisms, critiques. I don't mind what it is. I don't care how you talk to me. Get in touch. Let me know. Doesn't matter how far down we are. If it's 3 years later on and you've just started listening, welcome aboard. I honestly don't mind. If you've been listening from the beginning or joined in a little way later, again, I don't mind. Let me know. I want to thank those of you that have replied to the questions and answers on Spotify. And I also I just want to thank everyone because I'm feeling quite grateful for being in this position whereby I can talk to people. I'm just adjusting my seat. I can talk to people and I don't know who's out there listening. I don't know when they're going to listen, but having the opportunity to do this, finding time to provide my voice to you guys. I am quite literally a one-man band. I do everything myself. I record. If there is a script, I'm down with that. If there is any research to be done, I'm doing all of that part. I'm doing everything. I'm producing. I'm editing. I am funding. The whole kit and caboodle is down purely to me. It's my little hobby, my project, my corner of the interweb. It's just the blog, the Instagram, and the podcast. So I want to thank you all for being there, and also just to let you know that if you do send me a message, it's going to be me, literally me, personally me. I'm saying this in May 2024. If you're listening in July 2039, I don't know it. I may have to take someone else on. Depends how big I get. But for the time being, for at least the next 2 years until the end of season 4, this will guaranteed be me answering all your bits and pieces. So please get in touch, reach out, let me know what's going on. And again, I do want to thank you. There's been a lot of thank yous, and I'm still grateful and appreciative for you taking time to listen. And for the last time of season 1, Coffee Pot Conversations, hosted by An Englishman in Paris, it's time for Jasper's jingle. It's time for Jasper's jingle. It's time for Jasper's jingle.
Coming up on Coffee Pot Conversations.
We will have the final November interview. We also will have talk of the Olympics, whereby I myself am going to watch the Paris Olympics. We will have quite a few more monologious episodes. Monologious. I will learn how to say the word pertaining to monologue, and we will have quite a few monologue episodes. I will also be trying to be doing some live podcasts on Podbean. More on that later on in season 2. And it's difficult for me to finish this episode, but I have to, because if I don't, then there will be no season 2. And season 2 gives me a month off, so you won't have anything for a little while, unless you're listening later on, in which case you won't even know that I've had the break because it will just run straight through. But for now, I will be signing off, and I will be saying thank you for listening, and stay tuned. So, for the last time this season, time to take it away, son.
Coffee Pot Conversations.